with the Men of Vision on the Next Level Living show. And we're going to keep going right into our next presenter. Our next presenter, you know, I just gotta let you know, he inspired me, and I wasn't even expecting the inspiration. My brother, John McClung Jr. John McClung Jr. is the CEO of I Am Testimony. I Am a Testimony clothing line. And we just happened to connect, like most of the people that are on this call tonight, through social media. And he was doing one thing and I was doing another thing, and I reached out to him and he told me what he was doing with his clothing line. And, you know, one day out of the blue, he sent me an instant message and asked me what my size was and what my address was. And I didn't think anything of it, you know, networking, collaborating, doing some things in the future. Here. Sent that information to him, and then lo and behold, the UPS guy shows up at the door. Now, UPS, I don't do a lot of online shopping, so UPS coming into my door, it was either something for my wife or they were at the wrong address. But it was addressed to me. And so I signed for it, came in. I'm wondering who sent this to me, where this came from. And I see this New Mexico address on it. And I'm like, I don't know anyone in New Mexico. My wife knows people in New Mexico. And then I open it up, and lo and behold, it's my own personalized shirt for I Am a Testimony. And he likes to say that for the most part, when you're wearing the I Am a Testimony shirt, that might be the only time a person who sees that shirt ever says in their head or ever says out loud that I am a testimony. That is an opportunity for them to speak an affirmation for themselves, and that alone is a testimony. And so the fact that he's not only a CEO of his own clothing line, but he's a motivational speaker and he's a preacher's son, gives you a lot to look forward to in this next presentation. So without further ado, we are going to bring on the line John McClung Jr. of I Am a Testimony Clothing, and he's going to be speaking to us about the 3 principles we need to know when living a dream. John McClung, are you on the broadcast?
Man, I sure hope so. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you very well. Yes. Come on in, John.
Very good. Good. All right. Well, listen, man, thank you again very much for the introduction. It's always good to be a part of the Men of Vision and to also be a part of the opportunity to share with you, Brother T, as far as Mr. Unstoppable. So this is another opportunity for the Men of Vision to share with not only your audience but also amongst each other. And it's amazing that the principles and the things that we are talking about today, all of us are pretty much on the same page, which lets us know that we are definitely have the same focus in understanding living the dream, and then also going to the next level. So I appreciate Brother Ed and Brother Scott for sharing, and then also Brother Terrence for yourself for having us. And for myself, you know, my topic of the day is 3 principles of living your dream. And when we talk about living a dream, especially on today with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., there were some principles that he had that allowed him to continue to move forward in his vision. And even though he didn't get a chance to completely see his vision come to life, what he did do was lay the foundation so that when we look back on a day like today, we are able to say the things that he put in place and that the seed that he planted definitely bore fruit amongst those who were followers, and then those who had the opportunity to know him. So it didn't go in vain. And that's what we're talking about today, the principles of living a dream that does not go in vain. One of the things that I want to talk about today, or 3 of the things that I want to talk about, are principles that I have to live on a day-to-day basis and actually struggle and challenge with. And those who are listening, I'm pretty sure you're going through some challenges and some struggles, and hopefully what we're talking about today will help you continue to live the dream. And as you gave me the topic, The second part of that was uh, a dream becoming a testimony. And it's interesting because what Ed spoke of in reference to his life and the things that he's gone through to where he came from to where he is the true epitome of a testimony. It's the opportunity to share a personal or spiritual relationship with others that will allow them to have something to live with or live by. And that's the thing for my business is the actual idea and vision of I Am a Testimony Clothing is to be able to share your story. Uh, One of the things that I talk about when I speak is I talk about the opportunity that I had as far as working for the travel industry, whether or not the airlines. And one of the things that I recognize, and I didn't recognize it when I initially started with the opportunity, I didn't recognize it until later. One of the things that happens when a plane goes to the runway, it can't back up on its own. It has a tug that pushes it to the runway. And one of the things that when people are trying to live their dream, what is tugging and trying to push you to the runway so that you can go into your flight pattern and take off? A lot of times we don't follow up on what we do in reference to what's pushing us to the runway. But there is something that is tugging at us, some type of passion, some type of idea, some type of, as many of these brothers are doing, writing books. You might want to cook, but those things, whatever it may be that is tugging at you and pushing to the runway, you have to actually act upon it. One of the principles, and that I'll talk about today in the first principle, is the principle of decision. The principle of decision says when you have that tug pulling on you and pushing you, you have to decide what it is you're going to do about it. You have to make a decision initially to go and act upon the principle of following your dream. It is one of the most important parts of living your dream when you speak of what it is you want to do. If you do not decide or make a decision on that particular thing that's been given to you, idea, vision, ministry, whatever it may be, then it's stagnant. You have to be able to make that decision and move on it. The second thing that is part of the principles of living your dream is the principle of dedication. When you are making the decision, and especially when you make the decision, initially for my business, when I made the decision and the vision was given to me, it was heavy because one, when you're given a vision, it can be a blessing and a curse because that vision is strictly for you. That dream is strictly for you. You have to work it. You have to live with it. You have to eat with it. You have to cry with it. You have to share it with others, those who have similar or have the ability to see what you're trying to do. So it can become a weight sometimes, but the idea of constantly moving on it, it becomes lighter because it visually attracts other individuals who can help you work on that vision. So when you are becoming dedicated to this particular principle, which is the second principle, when you become dedicated to your dream will be dedicated to you. Why? Because when you begin to work it, you begin to feel good about it. You begin to, because you're going to sleep, eat, and drink your dream if you are true about it. When you become dedicated, you find ways to make it happen. You find things, or you find the right people that allow you to, that will push you. The guy spoke of this evening, surrounding yourself with more eagles. Well, those eagles, they don't fly with pigeons, they fly with eagles. And that will be individuals who will help you build your brand, help you market it, help you promote it, help you talk about it. But the thing about it is, if you don't do the first principle, which is deciding to do it, then the second part of that principle, being dedicated, will not come about. One of the quotes that I've learned recently is, what we do repeatedly, and again, what we do repeatedly, excellence then is not an act, but an habit. So when you become dedicated to a specific vision and dream, you have to make it a habit. You have to work at it every day, even when you don't want to. And that doesn't mean you have to do anything grand sometimes, although Brother Scott spoke of a grand vision. He's absolutely correct. Your vision is grand, but sometimes you do little things toward it. You know, you may just do a little bit of research one day. You may make a phone call one day. You may just create something that is part of. For me, I print a shirt. You know, I might mess the shirt up, but it's something that I might practice to see what it looks like. Or I might have a particular artwork idea that somebody might need to design for me. But you got to consistently and dedicate yourself to do something to your dream or within your dream. The gentlemen that are on this call, they didn't just sit around. They began, once they decided and dedicated themselves to it, they went from point A to point B to point C. Maybe on some days they had to do it alone, but I'm pretty sure on other days they got help. But once that dedication is made, it rolls over into the third part of the principles. And the third part of the principles is delivering. The principle of delivering. Well, you can have an idea and decide to do it. You can be dedicated and work the craft as much as possible, but then you have to deliver. You got to get whatever your dream is out. When we speak of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he decided to be an advocate for peace. He decided to be an advocate for equality. When he made that decision, he then dedicated himself to that decision through all the things that he encountered, going to jail, the walks, all the things that other individuals encountered, going along with him to support him. He still was dedicated to seeing his dream and vision through. But the main thing that happened, he delivered. He began to see the change. And that change consistently stayed and kept going even though his life was taken. And that's one of the things about delivering. When we deliver our dream and begin to work on it and see it come to life, sometimes other people take it on and carry it for us in conversation. Just the introduction of, Terrence receiving a shirt from me after he just gave me a little bit of information, his shirt size and his address. But that was my ability to deliver on what I said I would do. And that was plant seeds throughout the course of the year 2014, which was my giver's gift. I gave out over 100 plus shirts as my delivery on my dream. Now, what was the return? It doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary return when you deliver. Sometimes it can be one of the best seeds of a communication return, an opportunity return. What did that return happen to be for me along with Brother Terrence? It's this opportunity to speak. He provided a platform, and one of the individuals he thought about was me and asked me to be a part of the Men of Vision. That's the seed I planted, as well as him delivering what he wanted to do as far as part of his vision, and have men come together and speak on different topics, especially the one today about the dream. So when you think about some of the steps that you take, think about these 3 steps. And as I talk about, again, traveling and pushing the plane to the runway with a tug, one of the things that happens on the runway is there's a delay sometimes. Well, that doesn't mean the flight is not going to take off. It just means everything that's in the way has to be moved so that you can take off. What is that called? Well, that's a little bit of the flight pattern. It's a delay in the flight pattern. It's the holding pattern. They hold that plane till everything is out of the way so that it can take off down the runway. So in your life, what is your holding pattern? What's in your way? What's the clutter? What's stopping you from making a decision? What's stopping you from being dedicated to the decision you make as far as your vision and your dream? What's stopping you from delivering? You have to find out what those things are. You have to move them out of the way so that you can take off and move toward your vision and dream. Why? Because eventually when you do that, there's a testimony in the making, because these gentlemen can tell you where they came from to where they are today, including myself. And I'm still in the making of testimony. I still am working on the business, building the brand. There's a testimony in each of us. Now you can wear it and share it. The one thing that I understand and I know that there is specific things that we have to do. And if you have something to write with, I just want you to write these 5 words down. The first word is diligence. You have to be diligent in pursuing your dream. Second word is respect. You have to respect the gifts, the talents, and skills God has given you to use for your dream. The third word is educate. You have to educate yourself in all matters of your business, personal, life, whatever it may be. You have to educate yourself daily. You got to read, listen, whatever, do those things that matter, that allows you to increase your skill sets. That is something that I'm learning right now from my mentor, Ruben West. You have to read 10 to 15 pages a day of a book that, or something that will actually help you. Why? Because if you read 10 to 15 pages or more, that can almost make you an expert in that matter, because most people don't read but 3 to 5 pages a day, if that. So you have to do that. You have to educate yourself. The fourth thing, adapt. Every situation for you is not going to be perfect, especially as an entrepreneur when you are living your dream. Why? Because you're going to get challenges, roadblocks, as they spoke of earlier, haters. You're going to have all type of things that happen to you that does not allow you to do the things that you want to do. As an entrepreneur, as a person pursuing their dream, you have to adapt. Martin Luther King adapted. He adapted to the violence. He adapted to everything that came his way and made it happen. That you have to do. And lastly, maximize. You have to maximize your potential going towards your dream. Maximize every skill set, every gift, every talent that you have. Maximize your friendships and your relationships that help you build your business or your brand. Maximize you. Invest in yourself. The best investments you can make is in yourself when you're pursuing your dream. And when you pursue your dream, and yes, it's going to be tough. There are going to be days that you don't want to pursue it, but those are the days you got to get up and continue to move forward. You got to continue to soar. I promise you that if you decide and if you dedicate and deliver, you will be able to live your dream. And it's a process. It takes a little while, but eventually it happens. I'm a true testimony to it. I started with an idea, and now I have a lot of things going on in reference to building a brand. I even have help, as far as individuals who are supporting. I didn't think that it would be something that would actually go this far. It could have been a hobby, but I decided to say this is too strong and this too God-given to be a hobby. So as I build a business, I have to be patient in all those things. But if you looked at those 5 words and you looked at the first letter in each one of those words, you'll understand what it is to build a dream. So I want to say principle number 1, decide. Principle number 2, dedicate. Principle number 3, deliver. And believe me, with the other principles that these gentlemen have given you, you will be able to live your dream, and you will be a testimony in the making. My name is John McClung. I am the owner and founder and CEO of I'm a Testimony Clothing Collection. That's my message, and I'm sticking to it.
Wow, unstoppable. Thank you. John McClung Jr. of IamAtestimony.com. John, just tell us, how can they get in contact with you to get more information about your clothing line and getting some more nuggets from you and getting coached by John McClung?
Oh, absolutely, Terrence. I would love to. My email address is iamatestimony@yahoo.com, just like it sounds. The website is www.testimonyIam.com. You can go to the site and see some of the apparel. A lot of that is going to be changing in 2015 with some fantastic designs that are coming out. And then also on the Facebook page is I Am a Testimony, and Twitter is Testimony I Am. So there are 4 or 5 ways to get in touch with me, as well as get in touch with you, and you know how to find me as well. So there's a couple of different ways to do that.
Well, definitely. You are unstoppable, John. And again, these are fabulous shirts. I am a testimony clothing collection. Go to testimonyIam.com, and we're going to put that information in the Next Level Living Facebook chat room so that everybody can get a shirt so that you can be a walking testimony. Because in the good book, in the #1 selling book of all time, as Ed Womack talks about. He talks about being a living testimony in that book. And what better way to be a living, breathing testimony than to walk around with the testimony, I am a testimony shirt. And that may be, as John so eloquently said many times, that may be the only time that someone will say those words to themselves. I am a testimony, and then believe it. So thank you so much, John, for being a part of the broadcast. Thank you so much for being a man of vision. And, I'm still praying and looking for a Men of Vision conference in 2015. So I know where we're going to get our shirts from when we make that happen. All right? Thank you so very much. The family. The Men of Vision, Pursuing the Dream, continues on the Next Level Living show with Coach Terrence. I appreciate you guys for spending the time with us. I appreciate you for staying a little bit over as we anticipated, just going for 3 hours, but some technical difficulties have caused some problems, but that's okay because this message is important.